Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. Hello, PR Maven Nation. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, episode 190. I can't believe it. That means we're pretty close to 200 episodes. I'm so glad that we got started when we did. The podcast is presented by Marshall Communications, creator of the Marshall Plan 65-step strategic process. For those of you new to the show, I'm Nancy Marshall, your host, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. And with me today, I'm very excited about our guest. Our guest is Kit Huffman, who's a personal branding strategist at Seneca. Kit, welcome to the PR Maven Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on, Nancy. I'm really excited to be here and talk personal branding with everyone.
I know. Well, it's one of my favorite topics, actually. So I'm really excited about talking with you about kind of how you go about it, and it'll be really great. So Kit is the lead strategist and founder of Seneca, with a marketing degree from one of the top 10 business schools and experience as a social media consultant for one of Europe's largest marketing agencies. Her pivot to specialize in personal branding has allowed her to work with global Fortune 500 clients and executives. When she's not building strategies to skyrocket her clients' personal brands, you can catch her skiing the slopes of Jackson Hole, or where she is right now, which is in Argentina. And she also likes to try new coffee shops or plan her next international getaway. So she has the spirit of adventure and travel like I do. So it makes me really happy to have her here. So Kit, tell me about your education and your career and how you got to where you are today.
Yes, so I attended the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. And that, when I first came to school there, I knew I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. I knew that was kind of my path, and that's why I pursued business school. But I didn't really know where I wanted to take that. And that's a large reason why I like this specific program, is because it's this really holistic business approach, which really fed into kind of like my typical entrepreneur side, where I have so many interests and everything really exciting. It was really great to have that base foundation of business. And then it was in business school that I kind of came to find social media marketing, and I really gravitated towards that because I really liked how it incorporated that strategy side that I learned in business on the why we're doing what we're doing and like seeing results, looking at the analytics with creativity. So it challenges me in these two different ways to find ways or look at data in a different way, but then be able to execute and find creative solutions to those.
Yeah, well, of course, everything has changed since I started out in my career, but I feel that one of the great advantages of social media is that a person has an opportunity to engage with their targeted audience on an ongoing basis. You know, it's like back in the old days, you used to like maybe have a speaking engagement or go to a chamber meeting, like a business after hours, and you could engage like once in a while. But now, you know, if you kind of cultivate an audience and people that are interested in engaging with you, you can have sort of an ongoing dialogue. And that's, to me, the beautiful thing about social media. And then what you and I have figured out is, you need to figure out what is the personal brand you want to present in order to connect and engage with that audience. So I feel like the world is our oyster right now.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so exciting too. Like what you're saying is still holds really true, is those speaking engagements are still really important and really powerful, but it's that social media aspect that keeps you front of mind beyond that speaking engagement.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So, it's still, I feel, very important to have like the face-to-face conversations. And you and I haven't even met face-to-face yet, but I'm really looking forward to the time when we can get together and spend some time. But yeah, we totally connected through social media, right? I mean, that's how we talk to each other.
Yeah, well, it was originally from one of your articles. So that's like another touch of personal branding too. But then from there, continuing the relationship on social media. And here we are today.
You saw one of my articles on the Forbes Agency Council. Is that where it was?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Kit, what led you to be an entrepreneur, and do you have role models in your family who influenced you?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always just had a pull towards entrepreneurship, and a lot of people want to attribute that to my family. So both my dad owns a bowling alley in Michigan, and he kind of had a massive career pivot. So originally he was a vice president of Disney in marketing, and then he just didn't like how many hours he had to work. He felt that he was the oldest one in his department at like 30, the only one married and the only one that had kids, and just never got to see his family. So he quit that and wanted to start a business that he could spend more time with his family on. And so he looked at different businesses that were slow in the summer and busy in the winter that also revolved around marketing. And so that's how he found bowling. Like, he's not a passionate bowler by any means, but he just knew what he had to do to kind of build a market and be able to build a business around that. So I found that really admirable in that respect. And then my grandfather has a business that's third generation on that side of on the other side of my family. And that's creating boiler parts, so to keep in heat in boilers. So that's been really interesting to also see that business can not only like touch you, but can touch your family like multi-generationally. And so that's been really interesting. And I think it's because I've always had this interest in entrepreneurship. Maybe it stems from just having a lot of business conversations with my dad on what's working well and what's not working well, and my perspectives, and what I think might work out. And I think just kind of fostering that at a young age and kind of building on that has kind of led me to continue pursuing it.
Yeah. Well, and if your dad worked for the Disney company, I mean, that is like the quintessential definition of a brand, right? What Disney has done. I mean, talk about engaging your audience and keeping them coming back, and, and having all the different touch points too. Like, there's the Disney characters, and there's the Disney movies, and then, the parks. And Disney definitely knows how to connect with their brand and keep them for a lifetime and generations too. But I could see how it would be a lot of hours, because it's a demanding job.
Right. Yeah, he mostly worked television production side, but it was 70, 80-hour weeks.
Wow. Yeah. Well, so how do you define personal branding, and why is it so important in business today?
So I guess I look at personal branding as how you want to position yourself, either personally or professionally or both. And how I kind of view personal branding is that it can help you leverage and kind of help you achieve your personal and professional goals. So I work with some clients that want to either position themselves or their company for venture capital funding, align themselves to an internal or external promotion within their career. They want to attract new clients. They want to just be seen and established as a thought leader within their space. And to achieve those goals, there's different avenues to do it. So there's different directions that you can take. So we already kind of touched on a couple of those, such as writing and getting articles published, hopping on podcasts, maintaining your social media presence, giving speeches, and just engaging with your professional network on and offline.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, one of my big themes is that older people need to learn from younger people how to stay engaged in a lot of different ways online, whether it's on TikTok or on Twitter or LinkedIn, obviously. But, I think you need to, the expression is fish where the fish are. So if you're going after a younger audience, then you would want to be on Snapchat and TikTok. But if you're going after a professional audience, you want to be on LinkedIn. But I feel like you do have to have a presence on a lot of different social platforms to connect with various audiences. But I also feel that younger people can learn from some of the older people how to really connect in person too, and carry on a conversation face to face with another person, or even talk on the phone or do lunch. There's like all these different kind of old fashioned face to face networking methods that younger people could learn from older people.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we both can learn from each other, basically. So
Yeah,
it's
I would
a matter
agree.
of just staying engaged. So what is your advice for professionals on how to build their personal brand and define their personal brand?
Yeah, I guess it first starts with, why do you want to build a personal brand? So what's your goal? And so that's something that I really work with my clients on, is defining why we're putting this energy and intention on, and really kind of at least at first having one clear goal, because your goal might be to get venture capital funding and acquire top talent and get published in all these publications. But especially in the beginning, it's important to make sure that you are very clear on how we define success and how we're going to then go out and achieve success. We work with them on strategy, and I advise people to kind of have that clear strategy in their head too, because when you're first starting a personal brand, it's so overwhelming. And if your goals are so high and lofty, it's easy to just fall back and not achieve that. So kind of breaking it into those bite-sized pieces. So what's the main goal? What would I be really happy to build towards right now? And then from there, it's, what can I do to help build my brand now? And so the easiest way to get into that is by building your social media presence, because once you kind of start one action for building your personal brand, it kind of just can spiral from there. So building and posting on your social media can really help. And another thing that I tell my clients is just to focus on one platform if you're really just starting out, and then work from there, so it's not as overwhelming. Because once you kind of have content banked, you have content already created, it's easy then to repurpose that and put onto other platforms. But just to get into the swing of things, hold that consistency and start building your professional online presence, you really just want to focus your time and energy on one channel, and then go from there, and then go to your kind of avenues of expanding your personal brand. And that's a lot easier when you kind of already have that network and familiarity around what people engage with the most. So that would be a lot easier than to write speeches or write and publish articles or engage with other people outside of your network.
Right. Yeah, because we're working with a client that, I looked at their Twitter account, and they've got a Twitter account, but they haven't posted anything since 2019. And it just gives such a bad impression. It makes it seem like you're asleep at the wheel, kind of like, you're just not paying attention.
Right.
I remember, again, when I first got into marketing a long time ago, thinking of marketing and PR as like the heartbeat of an organization, or the heartbeat, or even the drumbeat. Like, you just need to show that you're alive, you're still making music, you're still active. And I feel like on social media, if you think of it as the heartbeat, and every time you post, it's like, pumping the blood through your brand, literally.
Yeah.
If you don't post for like 3 years, people might think you're dead, like, what's going on at that business, or what's going on with that person.
Yeah, and I like what you said about it's kind of the heartbeat, or if somebody hasn't put their content, like have not posted in a while, it looks bad. And that's active that I'm trying to bring forward is that in business school, we had a lot of kind of career, personal, professional development courses. And in one of those courses, a hard hitting lesson was, the message essentially was, be careful what you post online, kind of to almost intimidate you from being extra careful about before you post something, or is this exactly how you'd want to say it? And I don't like that mindset because it puts you into not wanting to post at all or getting turned off of building your online personal brand. And for me, I am so much more blown away, and I'm sure recruiters or anybody else is so much more blown away when you go to search for somebody on Google and you find so much and it's really great engaging content versus you search on Google and you find things from 2 or 3 years ago and it's really boring, stale content.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that colleges should teach their students, like there's a time and a place for everything. And, when you're going out on a Saturday night to get drunk at a party, you might want to be careful about where you post that, or make sure that it's only for your close friends. So when the recruiters are looking at your social media, they're not seeing you last Saturday night when you had a few too many beverages.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's something that's different between my generation that's really grown up with social media. Like I first got social media when I was in 6th grade. So that's always just been a lesson. So that's whenever somebody says, be careful what you post online, I almost tune out because I've heard that message so many times. It's not really relevant. I've had this message since I was 11. I think it would be better to instead say, be careful what you post online, to tell me what is going to be great to post online, because that was something you get in business school. And business school is actually the first time I got on LinkedIn. They introduced us to the platform, made us all make accounts, but then that was it. It's you made an account and you have a LinkedIn and that's that. But it would have been so much better and so much more beneficial than to have like lessons on how to post, how to build a personal brand, and how this can help you get a job versus the same message of be careful what you post online.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And actually, speaking of LinkedIn, I feel like the about section of a LinkedIn profile is like a gold mine where you can really put a lot of valuable content and keywords. How do you feel about that, the about section of your LinkedIn profile?
I think that the about section is the most overlooked section. And how a lot of people approach the about section is just a bland resume, usually written in third person, which is one of my pet peeves. That just tells you everything that your resume, or if you scroll down to the experience section, would tell you. And how I view the about section is your opportunity to show your personal and professional side very quickly. And it's incredibly important to incorporate those two parts into the about section, because if somebody is going to take the time to click onto your profile and scroll down to the about section and then click on it to read it, they're really interested in getting to know who you are. They don't care about your past experiences and how successful you are and how many awards you got. They want to get to know you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, do you try to include a little anecdote from somebody's childhood, or what do you include when you're writing somebody's about section?
Yeah. So it goes into like the why this person is building a personal brand. And then from there, I get to learn, how did they even get into this business in the first place? Or if they tell me a really interesting story, or if it was a mistake or a lesson that they've learned, something that's really core to that person and their experience and their current position on where they are personally and professionally, that I like to tie that story into their about section. So for example, in my about section, I talk about how I came from a small town and how that early introduction to community and what that is really helps me define how I interact online today, because I do value community and what that community really means to me, and then how I view online communities and how they're not that much different. And that is so much more of a powerful story, I think, to engage with, because it tells you about who I am in my past and how that relates to who I am now as a social media professional.
I love that. I think that's awesome. I also came from a pretty small town, and my family was really engaged in our community. So I do believe in building community. So yeah, that's a really good analogy. So how does networking fit in with building a personal brand?
This is a lesson that I've really been learning the past year, but it has been exponentially beneficial to me to be building my personal brand. And I really can only speak to building, or I guess networking on LinkedIn, which is I believe the most powerful place to network, because there's not, I'm going to say, a lot of competition there. There's not as many people that you're competing for attention there's not as many messages or DMs. There's not as much great content. So I want to be right there where I'm not having to compete for that space to be seen and to be heard. And the people that are on LinkedIn that you can easily connect with are high-level executives, vice presidents, CEOs, C-level executives. And that's just an awesome opportunity just to be able to reach out and message them and be able to connect with them. And that's how we were able to connect. And that's how you just don't know what's going to come of that. I mean, I'm on this podcast because I reached out from a message on LinkedIn. And other people I've done that too. It's just, I'll send a genuine note. Kind of my strategy, I guess, is I'll send a genuine note to somebody if I've engaged with their content that I really do enjoy. If I read an article that they like, and just saying like, I liked this, I'd love to be a part of your network and grow together here. It's something along those lines, or kind of a takeaway that I learned from something that they read, but I make it personal to them because if I'm going to take the time to actually reach out and want to connect, I want to connect with you. It's not just a random connect I'm throwing out there, but I want to invite you into my network. And if something comes of that, awesome. That's incredible. If not, I'm still happy and thankful to have you a part of my network.
Yeah. Well, you did it right because I mean, there are so many sales representatives on there who are like, oh, could we schedule a quick call? And here's my calendar, like, because I want to sell you something. And it's like, no, that's the wrong approach. What you did, just like let's connect and then see what comes of it. That's definitely the way to go about it. I am so tired of these salespeople, approaching me on LinkedIn. It's really, that's not what's supposed to happen.
Well, that's where you can set yourself apart too. It's like, if all these bland messages are coming through, like reading those messages, that was copy and pasted and changed your name and sent to a million other people that day. But if you were to get a real message that shows that person maybe just took 30 seconds to look at your profile or read some of your work, I am like blown away. I'm flattered. I want to know more about you. Why did you want to know about me? I want to know everything about you now.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Well, we're going to hear a little more from Kit in a moment, but now it's time. I want to remind you how to access my latest book, Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand. And if you go to prmaven.com/giveaway, you can download a free copy today. And I have to say that we have seen a big uptick in traffic to that PR Maven website lately. So I'm really thrilled about that. That's awesome. And now we're going to hear a little bit from my friend Mike Duguay at Thomas College about the PR Maven and how we've impacted him.
After reading PR Works, I really started to think about how marketing actually works. And I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous, but what I realize is that each platform nowadays that we use out there in digital media and social media has its own nuance and also quirks to it. And understanding how they're used is exceedingly important. Because when you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. And you can't approach it that way in marketing. And that's where I think Nancy's brilliance really shined in PR Works. I think Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand is really sort of the manifesto of understanding that there's many different levels to marketing. It's on your personal side of your brand, how actually you express yourself through business, but also what people hear you saying and what they see out there in the public eye as well. So I think what's really important there, that's really the blueprint of how you go about using these new social media platforms, but also to express who you are as a human being. Because people want to see you authentically and genuinely working with not only what you do, but also with the customers. And Nancy, on a personal level, I think that's who she is. She embodies that approach.
Well, welcome back to the PR Maven Podcast. And it's always nice to see Mike Duguay because he's just an awesome guy. And he's somebody that I've networked with for many years. Again, Kit, both at Thomas College where I got my MBA, but at Sugarloaf too. He's a big skier. So we hung out at the ski resort together too.
We're going to have to all go out sometime or something. I have to go up to Maine.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. He actually is quite a Nordic skier. I don't know if I could keep up with him, but his wife went out.
You'd be huffing and puffing in the back.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We could just meet in the lodge.
Yeah, that's more my pace.
Yeah, one of the ways that I got into skiing was with my family, and one of my like transformative moments that I've written about actually was being snowed in at Jay Peak, Vermont with my parents. And my father was very frugal. Like we would never buy anything in the lodge. We would always bring it with us. We'd bring lunch and drinks and stuff. But this time when we got snowed in, my father, for some reason, like loosened up a little bit. We all got, like, my brothers and I got a soda, and my parents got a beer, and my father and I danced. Like there was this little jazz trio, and we danced in the lodge. And I thought that was just so cool. And I was like, oh my God, if I could work in the ski industry someday, I could do this like all the time. And I did. I worked at Sugarloaf for many years. That's one of my formative anecdotes about my career. So, so Kit, you referred to this a little bit before, but when you have a client and you're going to build their personal brand, you sort of start with why, which is what Simon Sinek would talk about, right? To start with why. What are the other steps you go through?
So from there, it's really important then for my team and I do a lot of research to get to know what else this person has done online. So looking at their personal website, if they have it, their company website, work that they've published before, to really get familiar with them, their tone, their ideas. And then from there, really researching and getting to know others in their industry, getting to know the industry and getting to know their competition, and then also their inspiration in their industries to kind of know, where do we want to take this? What's being said? What conversations are being had? And then from there, we'll work with the client to build out their social media profile. So making sure it's completely, fully optimized for that platform, but then also reflects them personally and professionally. And we were talking about like the about section, making sure they have an awesome headshot they feel really good and confident about, having that background image that really shows and can grab a reader's attention, tell them kind of the gist of what this person is about, and then making sure the rest of the profile matches all that seamlessly. And then from there, we're going to work on incorporating keywords into it to make sure, again, that it's fully optimized, and then working on a content strategy. So what are kind of the 3 to 4 different overarching themes that we want to be talking about? Because think about like a YouTube channel, for example, like a beauty influencer is posting about makeup tutorials, brands she really likes, maybe clothes that she has. But then if she posts about her March Madness brackets, that might be kind of weird or like off topic. So we like to make sure that our clients are aligned on the kind of similar topics. So maybe that's entrepreneurship, a startup, tech companies, crypto, and kind of like around there. So it's like the same kind of topics every time, so that we're not just confusing the audience or making it not as clear as it would be. And then also making sure that that community is also growing, that's like-minded and what they want to grow in, or their conversations around, essentially. And then from there, we work with our team executes, or we work with our clients to help them write content that's strategically aligned to their big goal that aligns with their content strategy. So making sure that all the posts go back to, if they want to attract top talent, making sure that that content is really facing, and the point of that content is going to be attracting top talent, or it's going to be talking about their company, or it's going to be building their personal brand, so that when venture capital firms look at their personal brand online, that they're taken seriously. And then from there, our team helps to execute that strategy. So meaning that we go in as those clients and kind of we engage as them online. So making sure we're strategically engaging, leaving meaningful and thoughtful comments on others' posts to help expand their audience and introduce them to new people in their networks.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. Commenting on other people's posts, so that it's not always just like about me. You know, you want to be thoughtful with other people as well. It's just like if you meet somebody at a cocktail party and all they talk about is themselves, it's like, little boring. Yeah.
It's like that too. But even if you are a me person, if you want me to do well, you have to go out and comment on other people's posts, or your posts are not going to do well.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the, I don't know if it's the algorithm or what, but it introduces you to new people who then will come back to your profile, who will then see your content and help support your content to do well. So it's not only just it's a nice, good thing to do. It's you need to do that if you want to do well.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So how have you built your own personal brand, and how has it helped you in your career?
It has been the best investment that I've done for myself. And it kind of makes sense. Like, it's almost like a cliche. Like, I have a personal branding agency. Like, I should have a personal brand, or people are going to be like, I don't want to work with you. Who are you?
Right.
But I've gotten, whenever I'm consistent on my personal brand, inbound leads, which is the best feeling to have, is people are coming to me. I don't have to be that gross salesy person in your DMs. You're coming to me wanting my help, which feels amazing. And then I also get to work with amazing clients around the world. So that feels really great. And then it also introduces me to new opportunities to continue to build my personal brand. It's kind of that snowball effect. Like, I reached out to you because of an article that you wrote. Now we've connected a few times, and now here I am on your podcast. Like, that one interaction and that probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a personal brand on LinkedIn already.
That's right.
So
and we have a strategic partnership, so that I'm referring business to you. And I feel like you're kind of part of my PR Maven Nation.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
So once you start building and you kind of know what people engage with, you just start building it, and opportunities come from there. So even if you're just starting out, like I said, you want to be clear on why you're starting, but it can feel overwhelming, but kind of just start and go from there. Like, I used to just post on LinkedIn content about how to build better LinkedIn profiles, and was just kind of giving LinkedIn tips. And now I go so much more beyond, because I have more things to say. And I want to be known as beyond just the LinkedIn girl. I want to be thought as a thought leader.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good segue to this next question. I mean, marketing has a lot of different components. There's advertising, there's PR, there's events, and then there's digital, social. So if you look at all the different aspects, where do you think personal branding fits in with an overall marketing program?
I think it then goes back to, I keep saying, like, your why. Like, so why are you doing it? So the people that I currently work with, that I've seen a lot of success building a personal brand, would be people that are looking to get internally or externally promoted or hired, people that are specifically looking for venture capital funding. That is huge. I'm working with a client right now that is aiming for Series C. And he has specifically said to me, in venture capital meetings, people will pull up his LinkedIn and his Twitter and make comments about it. And he's like, if you hadn't been working on this for the past year, I don't know what they would have said, because there would have been nothing there, or it would have just been not aligned to what he needs for those investor meetings. So that is huge. Anyone that maybe doesn't even know what they want to do with their career, but your personal brand is such an asset you can carry with you beyond your company. This gives you an identity beyond your business and beyond who you are professionally. And that's what a lot of executives that have come to me are nervous about, that they're scared that they're going to be pigeonholing themselves into this Fortune 1 or this Fortune 5 company, and they'll only be known as that, but they want to offer themselves to the world, or just for themselves, on different ways.
Yeah. Well, another aspect of personal branding and social media is Twitter, I think, has been really instrumental in connecting with journalists. So I have found that if you're trying to get the attention of the media, it's really good to be on Twitter. And I feel like journalists are a lot more willing to engage with a PR person there than they are through email, especially if you don't know them. Like, if you email a journalist out of the blue and they don't know you, it's very rare they're going to ever respond. But if you kind of start nurturing a relationship with them on Twitter by, again, commenting and having a dialogue there, they're a lot more open to your pitch when you're ready to do that. So I love that about Twitter, actually, is the availability of the media, even national media. So should corporate executives build their own personal brands while also building the brand of their company or organization?
I think absolutely. So if you think about some of the most successful entrepreneurs that we know, like that just come to mind. So like Elon Musk has more followers than Tesla. Bill Gates has more followers than Microsoft. And they are their business, but they've separated themselves from their businesses so much. And that's how they've been able to, in part, do a lot of what they've been able to do, because Bill Gates is not just Microsoft. Bill Gates is so much beyond that. Elon Musk is not just Tesla. He is so much beyond Tesla. But if everyone just thought of them as Microsoft or as Tesla, it would have been a lot more difficult for them to achieve what they wanted to have achieved if they pigeonholed themselves into just being their company. And then it also opens up a lot of opportunities to their companies, because people will want to get to know people. They don't want to get to know companies. So if you're able to introduce yourself as the CEO or one of the founders or in the C-level, that's a lot more interesting, because I want to get to know a person. I don't want to get to know or have some sales pitch thrown at me from some random company.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hysterical that even Elon Musk's mother now is kind of becoming a personal brand too.
I didn't see this. I'll have to check that out.
Oh yeah, she was on the Today Show a couple of weeks ago talking about little Elon.
I love that.
It was so funny. Yeah, she's very attractive too. Yeah, so she's cool. So Kit, is there a book, an app, or a podcast that has influenced you, and how?
I am a huge Tim Ferriss fan. So I've read that his book, Tools of Titans, is absolutely incredible. So Tim Ferriss has done a large podcast where he brings on kind of the most influential, like notable people that are skilled at whatever, in a lot of variety of industries, such as pianists, New York Times bestselling authors, top athletes, and interviews them. And they're very well thought out interviews that just have such nuggets of knowledge in them. And I mean, he has hundreds of episodes. So from those episodes that he's done, he's written this book that basically just in a few pages summarizes that entire 2-hour long interview into just all the knowledge chunks. And it's awesome. It's really hard to digest. It takes a long time because you're just getting some of the best advice, information from some of the best, most successful people in 3 or 4 pages. So it's like, I can only read like a page or two, or a chapter or two a day, but it's overwhelming with information in such a great way. So that has been influential for me from like a business and life standpoint. I've just gotten a lot from it.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't read that one, so I'll have to get that book. Check it out.
I absolutely recommend it. Yeah.
Thank you for that recommendation. So how can people get in touch with you, Kit?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that would be awesome. I mean, just say you found me here on the PR Maven podcast. I'd love to connect, love to start a relationship and just get to know one another. You can also find me on Twitter, which is Kit_Huffman. And then you can also find me on my company website if you're interested in working together, just want to get to see what we're doing a little bit more. And that's SenecaAgency.co. Or if you want to reach out and just have more of a quick question or just want to start a relationship via email, my email is huffman.kit@senecaagency.co.
Oh, wait. We have Kit.Huffman. Is it Kit.Huffman or Huffman.Kit?
Oh, sorry. It's Kit.Huffman. My own email. Huffman@senecaagency.co. Glad we got that one straightened out. Yeah, I'd love to connect everyone here because clearly everyone listening to this podcast wants to build their personal brands, and let's build it together.
Well, it's been so much fun talking to you. I feel like we could talk like for hours, if not days. And you have so much great knowledge and expertise and passion for what you do. And I feel like we kind of share that together because I get so excited about, I mean, it just shows the possibilities, because you did. You read one of my thought leadership articles, then you reached out to me, then we connected, and then we've talked on the phone 2 or 3 times now. And yeah, I feel like at some point we're going to probably meet in person, and yeah, maybe we will go skiing together.
Go skiing, yes.
Although you mentioned it's really icy there in Argentina. I had a pretty bad fall in January on the ice at Sugarloaf and dislocated this left shoulder and broke a bone. So I'm still doing PT now to get ready for next season.
We'll just have to keep it to the lunch then. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. All right, Kit. Well, thanks for joining us, and I hope everybody has a great day in PR Maven Nation. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the PR Maven Podcast. I invite you to share a review of the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation on Facebook. It's free to join, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you use an Alexa device, use your Alexa app to search the skills and games section to find and enable the PR Maven Podcast Flash Briefing. This will give you access to exclusive content and more PR and marketing advice. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.